Online hockey. They've been playing so many matches and so many of these online tournaments because this team know that in the current landscape of Counter-Strike, unless you've got a massive org behind you buying you into these Louvre agreements or buying you into the Blast circuit, it's very hard to be able to perform at a high level and beyond all of these tournaments. You've got to go back down to the lower leagues and try and grind those Pro Tour points. And going to an event like ESL Anaheim, this could be huge for the Eternal Fire side. So excited to see how this one's going to be going. Lovely HUD here as well, Hawk. I'm enjoying this as we get right into the first game of the day. Mirage up first, Inferno overpass the other maps if needed, but Eternal Fire picking Mirage into this one.
It was the map they played in the best of one previously, but Eternal Fire clearly confident in it. Early smokes coming into this A side of the map for Sinners, and the bomb is at ramp, but they're popping out through Palace.
Oh, Calyx Underwood trying his best, but does get cleared out by B-Stick. Centaurus now holds for the crossover, spots a couple of players now trying to put pressure towards CT, but Centaurus very sneakily slips away with one.
Bomb planted safe and sound, and Eternal Fire took some time to respond, but finally they'll get into position. They do have that kit, and Woxic's ready for the aggression.
Oh, he gets one, but it's his teammate Amor that has to follow up with a follow-up kill, and Centaurus has got himself back at jungle, being pressured by Jetco, but Centaurus will bring him down. Is now on shock. First headshot's good, but gets cleared out by X-Floud. It will be Eternal Fire with the pistol.
Good start for Eternal Fire, just getting that retake set up over towards A. Even though they were a little slow to react initially, they didn't have those players instantly in position. They had the man advantage, so just winning those early fights on the retake works out for them. And Eternal Fire are still going with Woxic as this IGL dinko. I think officially he took over a month ago, and they had really good form as soon as he took over those IGL duties, but it seems like they have been a bit more shaky recently, especially at the, what was it, the Pro League qualifying, right? They lost against LDLC there and got knocked out. I think they'll be a bit disappointed with that. They'll also be disappointed with the start to this round, though. They've already lost that first man.
Yeah, they've done a good amount of damage. Obviously, Sinners were able to get that bomb down in the pistol, so they've been able to come back in with a very solid buy into the second round force. Sinners will be happy about the man advantage. I think the Turkish side now realized they've got to pull some of those back if possible. And more went for a little peek up short into middle. Couldn't come away with anything. And now for the Sinners, they just maintain their control of the map they have at the moment, but they start to put a few more players up into the B apartments, and they have been chunked by that HE. It's not going to be easy here for Sinners. Even with that man advantage, they've still got to deal with a very strong CT buy here. These rifles in a good position on the B side, and that's exactly where the bomb is going.
Well-timed molly to slow things down, but it is a split onto this B site. That's something Eternal Fire have to be aware of. I think Emil's watching for it, and he is successful on the spray. That's what they needed.
Lovely shutdown, and it really comes back down to that Molotov up in towards the apartments. Really takes away some of the sting to the fight. Sucks. Oh, Oscar trying his best, but just one kill for him, and more brings him down. 3 kills in the round for him. But it comes down to the fact that, Hawker, you see that incendiary go up into the apartments. It looked like they were trying to get the timing for the split into the B site, but Eternal Fire were able to take one of those prongs away of the approach and really just weakened the attack entirely. You can see how flustered it looks Sinners were when they were attacking in the final few seconds.
That definitely made a good bit of difference. Emor and X-Cloud played quite a few bomb sites together as well in the games I've seen from Eternal Fire. I think it is important that they show that they can step up early on, and now against the Deegs, they could have some issues because Calyx has been picked off early.
Yeah, shock. Lovely headshot coming into the start of this game, and that is certainly something I want to see more of. Centaurus gets caught in position, and now Sinners have a chance in towards the site as they leap out of Palace. They put pressure on towards the bomb site. Zeko is about to be found by Woxic, no problem here. Woxic just tracking his prey down. It's an easy kill for the MP9 from behind. The bomb has gone down, and that's exactly what Sinners intended upon finding. And maybe even more here because they've got a follow-up kill, and now suddenly it's just X-Floud and Woxic. And Woxic was previously noted to be towards T-spawn, and he does not want to come from that same position. Goes back into middle, sets up the flashes. Damage done at least onto Oscar, but this time is starting to tick. Eternal Fire have to get back into the site. There's a flank from Neofrag, but Xfloud, he reads it, he turns behind, and it's all on Beestick in the 1 versus 2. This time it is ticking, and Beestick has the position. He can end it all the lineup on the headshot, and Sinners win the round. There's no time for the defuse. That is ridiculous from the Sinners to win.
That's a really strong sign from Sinners early on in this game too, because against Eternal Fire, you have to show you can step up individually. You're against a very skilled squad, and oftentimes we question whether Sinners have that depth in fragging. We always talk about how it's normally just Oscar and Neofrag showing up in too many rounds. But in this one, it's Shock who gets a couple of the key early kills. Beestick also helping out. Nice to see some of those other Sinners players stepping up for a round win. And now Eternal's Fire money isn't great. And look at that swing early. Sinners not allowing Woxic to hold mid whatsoever.
Oh, look at Xfloud. Aggression in towards the B apartments. Deep smoke to consolidate control. He's actually going to go through the smoke. Oh, this could be nasty. Oh, Shock. Oh, he's going to get overrun. The MP9's aggression pays off, but it's still a 2 versus 2. Site taken on the B bomb side. That should at least confirm the bomb plant itself, but Beestick is wanting to take control against Calyx, and it really comes down to the timing. Calyx not looking the right way, and he goes down to the rifle. All now on Xfloud, and they know where he's coming from. Oscar has the scope up. The AK needs to work these kills and turn themselves into 1 versus 1. And Xfloud, it's easier said than done for him. He does not have the kit on his back, and he has taken significant damage. Xfloud held between 2 players and just couldn't find the fights to equalize out the player count. And 2-2 as Sinners will equalize the score.
I'm just really liking this start from Sinners. I'm just loving the aggression coming out from them. I'm loving how much confidence they're playing with, in all honesty. As you were pointing out, we saw them at V4, and it just didn't really feel like the same Sinners we were used to seeing. They looked a little shaky. But here they are playing with that full confidence at the start of this game. Eternal Fire down on a low buy in this one. As I was saying earlier, I think Eternal Fire will be a little disappointed with their run, especially at that ESL conference event, Dinko. Because they took their losses against Endpoint and LDLC in that tournament where there was the Pro League spot on the line. And you look at some of the teams that made it even. Godsent, for example. You know, that's a team that Eternal Fire will look at and think, we could definitely beat that team. And that was a pretty big tournament for these guys. So I think the recent form has been, you know, a little up and down for Eternal Fire. But I wonder if that's kind of to be expected on this team, because they do kind of just live and die by their individuals at times.
Yeah, I think that really does spawn inconsistencies, right? Because you've really got to rely on everybody showing up every day, and that's just impossible, really. And it's where teams with systems generally do a little better. So you can always fall back on that consistency and the fundamentals. It's a little harder to replicate consistency when it comes to these individual plays. But Sinners, they're a team that I would say, Hawk, have a pretty good system. At least they did a few months ago, right? And I think this team do play fundamentally sound Counter-Strike. But the cool thing about this team is they have a lot of cool individuals as well. You know, Oscar's fantastic, obviously, but we know Neofrag can be the best player on this team at times. So definitely a lot of individual skill to back up some of the systematic play that Sinners are able to provide.
Absolutely. And I'd agree with you that Neofrag is probably the most important player, just because I feel like Oscar shows up pretty consistently, and then Neofrag as that rifler can be the big man. He's got the spawn this time, though, with that AWP, so Neofrag just taking that top mid control early, while the rest of his team are in towards the B apartments. Well, this could be a quick one.
Oh, flashes Molly's going up to try and hold off this quicker play. It's not going to work out entirely, but they haven't crossed the site just yet, and that's going to allow more just to hold back from short. So far, so good on the first 2 picks, and oh, it reloads at the wrong time as Oscar swings into his crosshair. Demore has done well just to bring the numbers down to a 3 versus 3. Bomb will go down. Flank from Zentara is coming through the apartments, and in the meantime, Calyx has already started to dwindle the numbers inside of the site. And through the smoke, he's trying to get the lineup. Oh, here's Zentara is now coming out of the apartments. His teammate Calyx still taking most of the kills. Zentara will find the final headshot to close out the round. It's going to be Eternal Fire equalizing the scoreline yet again. So far, very close back and forth game, Hawker.
And this time, Eternal Fire able to set up in that retake in a 3v3 pretty comfortably. Even though they didn't have a kit in their hands at the time of the retake, they knew there was one drop towards the site. And it all comes down to winning those early fights, which they do pretty effectively. You also see xCloud in quite a few of these tough spots for this Eternal Fire team. I think that is part of the reason why he is the lowest rated player on this squad. I think it's going to take him some time to adapt to playing at this level. But in that round, it was Emor who was able to trade off the back of his teammate, get those 2 frags back that Eternal Fire needed. Sinners now look like they will finally slow things down, spreading into a default at the start of round 7.
Yeah, it looks like they're trying to play off the pick of Oscar. Send him up to the B apartments, had a decent spawn to try and catch out one of these jump spotters. He's still hanging around, but he's taking so much damage from that HE Hawk. That's landed right inside of his mouth.
Not ideal. But we move. You do what you can.
We do move,
Gotta just
Hawker.
live with it.
Hoggers.
Zantares could get isolated, and he is caught before he can fall back to connector. Just got his hand caught in the cookie jar, Dinko.
Yeah, this cookie jar snaps back as well, Hulk. You know, you never steal cookies. That would be the worst crime, honestly. You do like a cookie, though, Hulk. I remember you were collecting some cookies at our last event.
Collecting some cookies?
Yeah, you were collecting cookies.
I could never collect cookies, because I'd start eating my collection before it becomes a collection.
Yeah, well, that's true. You tried. You tried.
Ooh, 35 seconds. Sinners have got to make up their minds here. It looks like this B play, but Eternal Fire still have both players on this B site, and xCloud has that molly.
Yeah, these B hits haven't been too effective for Sinners. And a lot of the time, Eternal Fire are very good at getting these initial picks, and more in particular, but this time he's down. So xCloud, the newest addition, has to try and hold the B site. It's just not going to happen for him. Get shredded as Sinners will take the B site. It's got to be the safe call here for Eternal Fire. They don't have much money. And the AWP in the hands of Woxic is now the only remaining weapon. Calix's head now topples and rolls across the floor, and Woxic is under a lot of pressure, being held from all angles. They know exactly where he is, and getting rid of this AWP would be a disaster for Eternal Fire. Woxic gets one pick. They're still trying to eliminate him. Some nice shots, but eventually will go down. Just too many players inside of his crosshair. And that's 4-3 for the Sinners. A nice idea to try and play for Oscar's early pick, but it's the response when it doesn't work out for them. That mid-tick was fantastic.
And I do think Sinners have come into this game with a pretty good game plan, in my opinion. You start out with some aggression. You just see if you can match Eternal Fire, man for man, just firepower-wise. And now, as the half goes on, I like that they are starting to slow things down and playing more of these defaults. Because I think this is oftentimes the best way to try and counter this Eternal Fire team. If you just slowly play for a pick across the map, that makes it much more difficult for those Eternal Fire players to have those massive individual moments we know they're capable of. And then in the late round, Sinner's just cool to hit that B site. And you see once that B play comes in, it's normally xCloud playing the more supportive role, and then Emor is the one who's set up to try and frag. But as soon as Emor goes down, xCloud is just going to get run over on the bomb site. Eternal Fire back down to pistols yet again.
Oh, Oscar brings Woxic down. Advantage side for the Sinners initially. It's going to follow up as well. No problems here for Sinners. Looking at the rest of the competition, though, Hawk, you know, Sinners already starting pretty strong, which is good to see from them. But you know, looking at some of the other teams in this competition, who would you say is another little upset team that could potentially find their way through to that one spot?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, surprisingly, we have seen Sprout recently do pretty well. They did all right at the ESL conference event, so that's a team that I think some people might not expect to be in the form they are in.
Yeah.
And Forza are always a team that can be scary on their day.
Oh, yeah, really interesting qualifier, I think. In terms of a lot of the teams, they're all kind of in limbo, right? They're ready to take the next step, but you don't know where they're going to go. I think Team Spirit as well are a team that's the walk and wounded, but we'll see what they can do with this competition. I'm excited to see them in play.
if you look a few months ago, you'd say Spirit were probably the clear favorites in a qualifier like this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With those roster moves, we don't really know what to expect from them now.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the team now. Dexter, Magix, Patsy, Chiron. I mean, a lot of these guys, they don't even have a fifth, right? An official fifth listed anywhere. So it is going to be interesting to see where the Spirit team end up and where they finish in this competition. But yeah, absolutely. I think they're one of the teams that have really dropped off the face of the earth, which I'm expecting bigger moves to happen going into 2022 for that team.
It's always a weird scenario having that major before the end of the season, because there are quite a few teams right now where we're just sitting and waiting for those roster moves. We're just waiting. I mean, I can wait, Dinko, okay? I'm British. We're used to queuing, but it's been a long wait. I want to see some of the new lineups in action.
You're waiting for Christmas, Holka? You're waiting for Santa to come?
Exactly. I want the gift of
What are you getting for Christmas, Holka?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm getting much. I think I've been a naughty boy this year.
Oh, nice. Get a little bit of coal then. That's great.
Exactly.
Coal actually is a good thing to have. You know, it's a very finite amount of it, so...
True, it's actually very valuable now. Yeah.
Well,
if you're a bad boy your whole life and you just kept all your coal...
You'd be rich.
You'd be doing well.
Lovely start for the double up, and Moore and Woxic finding 2 kills to begin off round 9. Beestick, Shock, and Neofrag in a very difficult spot now. You've been handed a 2-man deficit with no real map control. You've got to really hope this timing works out for Neofrag, and Woxic is so quick. That is a lovely shot from the AWP. And now Shock on his op trying to make something happen. It's not really worked out for him. Hasn't got that pick, and now they can call for the rifle support as well. X-Floud's in position with an incendiary. They go deep into the apartments. And this is a done deal already. Sinners surely don't pull off this round.
Yeah, I was saying how I liked the way Sinners... Oh,
what?
Gun barrel. Cheeky.
Yo, what are you doing?
Okay. That's a free pick.
Thank you very much.
Too many of those away.
A little Christmas gift from Amor.
Oh, they've pushed through a ramp. That should be heard by Beestick, but the bomb is close by. This next fight could actually open up the round if Beestick wins this, and he will. And now there are opportunities because the CTs have to stay spread. Yeah,
Shock is still split up. His teammates starting to come through, but that smoke, he knows he can just walk through it because Shock is on the other side, but he's been spotted. A wider angle taken by X-Floud, and now it is all onto Beestick. The 1 versus 3, and this does not look winnable at all for Beestick. And we'll see if he can muster a little bit of magic and pull off the 1v3. X-Floud is certainly available to take down. If he opens this up, there's a chance for the 1v1s. And he's hopping out the window, trying to get the fight. X-Floud trying to draw him into the crosshair. And that's what'll happen. Good positioning there from X-Floud. Well played in the 1v1 duel. And that is going to give another round to Eternal Fire.
That was a nice try from Beestick. You can see he times his peek round the corner as he knows that player has just taken a jump peek across so that he has the chance to get that quick kill. But as soon as he misses out on that, the crossfire was going to be really difficult to overcome. And I was saying earlier how I liked the adaptation from Sinners to spread out, but the counter to that from Eternal Fire is getting this double AWP setup out. Now Sinners feel like they can't play for picks across the map against those snipers. It's really hard to win those early fights. So they're going to go back to the set plays, this time set up outside A.
We'll see if this works out. It looks like they're fully aware of this Eternal Fire. They have players in position. Rotation should come eventually as well, but that bomb is already down. Oh my god, lovely shot from Shock. Calyx completely bamboozled by that one. He'll have Whiplash going into the next round. Flash over the top as Zedko pushes CT. Spots out Woxic, tries to do damage. He's done damage, but he's now caught in the open, and that allows the rifle of X-Floud to swing into him. Oscar tries to take a risk. Luckily comes away with his life, but no pick for Oscar, as now the retake is being set up for Eternal Fire. Smoke up into Palace, flash in as well, but no chaos or space being created at all. In fact, it's just easy kills for the Sinners. Another one picked up for Oscar. Now one more on Woxic on the double up setup. How do you retake a site with this? You just don't. And it's done. 6 rounds for the Sinners. A lovely A execute to get them 6 rounds.
Going back to Old Faithful, the old standard A execute on Mirage. But the important thing there, I think, for Sinners is that as they're trying to get that bomb down, they make sure they have a little wrinkle in there. They make sure they have a player flashing into CT, just taking some of those aggressive fights so that the CTs can't just easily try and deny that bomb plant or set up for the retake. you've got to make it a little more difficult for the CTs playing retake in that scenario. Sinners did that really effectively and then just won every single fight in that 4v4. And it is quite refreshing, Dinko, to see some of these other Sinners players stepping up. I mean, B-Stick's the IGL for this squad. He's top fragging right now. And we're seeing a good game from Shock. And this is where Sinners can be very dangerous. I think this is what we needed to see from them on Mirage, where that fragging is so important across the team to be able to come out on top. Seeing a couple of these other Sinners players step up to the plate has been really important for them early on here.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the weaknesses of Sinners, actually, most of the time, is the fact that you rely too much on Oscar and Neofrag, and if they don't show up, then it can be a very quiet and quick death to the Sinners. But yeah, when everybody's showing up, it can be the opposite. They can start to beat anybody. We've seen that at IM Fall on LAN. They beat some of the better teams within their groups. They were just a whisker away from making the major, and funny enough, it was Movistar Riders that stopped them getting there as well, Hawkeye. That ended their dreams at V4. I think they'll have a little Spanish nightmare in the back of their head now.
Yeah, they'll look for revenge at some point, I'm sure.
They'll not be wishing them Feliz Navidad, that's for sure.
Exactly. All right, now it's looking good for them in this round against the Eco of Eternal Fire.
Absolutely. I mean, you don't really expect too much here at all.
Ooh.
Okay, this shot from Oscar could get overrun. Luckily, Oscar is a robot and doesn't really feel pressure, so easily takes that pick. Shot hunts down Woxic, and now just Calyx left alone. Ooh, nearly with the Eagle. X-Floud has been probably the most exciting pickup for this Eternal Fire side. You know, they had obviously they had Issa in the team for a little while, and now that didn't really work out communication-wise or personalities. Something didn't work out, so they bring in X-Floud, and X-Floud is definitely an exciting player, Hawker. We've seen him in his debut game for this team, and he was looking solid.
Yeah, I really hope we get some stability now on this Eternal Fire roster, because I think he needs that stability to help him develop, because we had that move in October, Issa to X-Floud, then we had Woxic switching to IGL in November. So I'm hoping now everything is set for this Eternal Fire team. We can see him start to develop as a player, because he clearly has the raw potential. He's shown it at times. He's just going to have to adapt to some of those more difficult spots. Nade stacking connector somehow managed to mix Woxic almost entirely. It's only down to 90 health from that early barrage of utility. Sinners now go for the delayed mid take with this top mid smoke, but Eternal Fire still have plenty of players fighting for mid.
Yeah, they're just holding choke points, though, at the moment. They're not contesting from mid-control. They'll let Sinners stay alive inside of middle, but when they try and pressure into shorter connector, that's where the resistance will be met. And Shock is starting to try to get a fight going up through connector, put pressure onto the AWP of Woxic. Oh, and this ramp play, this could be exciting for Eternal Fire if it goes their way. And Calyx, it looked like he was not favored to win that fight, but comes out of it anyway. And Moore finds one in from ladder room, and it's a quick play here from Sinners, trying to get up through shorts. And Tara is already trying to get back over to this B site. Woxic's being found, and now it's just 3 players left on each side.
Neofrag needs some help, and it will finally come. They've got a flank going too. They've got a flank from Shock, and no one's watching it.
This is it. Shock comes in with a headshot. X-Floud is looking the right way, and he'll walk away with a headshot. X-Floud needs to do a lot of heavy lifting here. He's separated from his teammate, and X-Floud's find another one. That's the bomb down, and now Oscar has to clutch. 4 seconds, not enough time for the plant, so he has to go for kills, and there's no time to win that either. On the other side of the map, Calyx wits at A, and that is enough to get the job done.
Big step up from X-Floud, able to get that all-important kill on that player who was flanking through Kitchen. That was a fight that just had to be won for Eternal Fire to win the round. And then he does a really solid job at just surviving at the back of the bomb site for long enough with low time left on the clock. Impressive round from X-Floud there. And he is put in a lot of these anchor positions where normally you'd expect those experienced players to shine through with strong decision making. In that round, it's X-Floud who makes all the right decisions. And now it's Neofrag back to his patented aggression. Get very used to seeing this if you watch the Sinners games. He gets control towards ladder room, but the rest of his team all over on the A side of the map.
Oh, Zantara's going to turn back up. Gets rid of Neofrag.
They really wanted to cause some chaos with that lurk, but now look at this stack on A. Eternal Fire is so ready for this.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for Sinners. They've had a couple of good executes, but the amount of players here, they've got to check Underwood and Ninja. There's just so many positions you can neglect to check. And for that, xFloud is about to find himself a 13th kill. No problem. Bomb down. Follow-up kill was available to xFloud, but the kills are coming back, and Shock gets the double. Sprays away onto the second at stairs, and Sinners somehow turn that in their favor on the site. Not enough fragging output from the Eternal Fire side, even though they had the favorable numbers.
Yeah, they had the numbers, but I guess Sinners did have that slight advantage in terms of weaponry. They had the rifles they wanted on all their players, whereas Eternal Fire's buy was a bit more dodgy. Sinners able to turn it into a round win. It came close on the initial trades. Oh, now Eternal Fire go back down to pistols again, and that's almost been the story of this half for them, Dinko. They keep getting put down to this poor position. I think that's what has led to this lead for Sinners so far. A couple of ecos for Eternal Fire. This one should be handled pretty easily. Shock still fragging. Up to 18 kills now. What a half he's having.
Fantastic performance out of him. Beastic as well. Up to 14 with that pick. Not too much resistance expected here for Eternal Fire. Zetko has been a little quieter, but he's on the hunt trying to find a couple of these eco picks. Always good to build you with confidence, get a fragging count up a little bit. Zantara certainly can be a menace with the deagle. He's starting to turn left and right, gets 2 kills on the way out, but ends up being removed. 9-5 for Sinners. Money's not fantastic here either for Eternal Fire going into the last round of the half, but they got to buy up, and they won't have that AWP. They've been rocking a double up setup, Hawker, which is probably where a couple of their economic problems have come from.
Yeah, definitely. But you can see why they went for it, because as soon as they did, they won the round against the more spread out playstyle that Sinners were rocking. But then Sinners adapted really wisely. They've gone back to a more exec heavy style of play in recent rounds. 2 AWPs in play for Sinners early in this one. I think Shock just took that sniper to look for the pick towards mid, but it's this A play again, and Woxic needs some help.
Oh, Neofrag, okay. Brilliant double on a Calyx and Zantara as Woxic down as well. And Sinners have found that if they just run over the A side, the bulldozer can make its way through. And more tries to swing for the fight, just couldn't get it done. Not enough done here on the A defense from Eternal Fire in this half, and that's going to leave them up to 10-5. xFloud really has to dig deep to try and prevent that inevitability at this point. It's going to take a miracle to even find a way close to the site in this last round. xFloud waits for aggression, waits for a mistake to come through from Sinners, and here's the solo player. Zetko down first, and that time is starting to tick, so xFloud has to clear out so many positions. Flash into CT, and Neofrag will close it. 10-5 half for the Sinners as they lead the way. We're going to be going into a short break, but when we come back, we'll see if Eternal Fire can pull this one through.
Up and I look around, I can feel that love.
10-5 half for Sinners as they lead the way going into the second. Now they start the defensive side. We'll see if Eternal Fire can have a Turkish T side and pull out a few more rounds here to get their map win under their belt. But we'll see if that's going to work out here. Sinners going to be starting to try and defend this A site, but there's only one player here, and it's Oscar going aggressive into Palace. Here comes the Eternal Fire, full executing towards the A site. Oscar really needs at least one pick here to make his team comfortable, and he won't pick it up.
Oh, Neofrag tried to go through the smoke to assist him, but those smokes were cutting it off. Even CT control being taken by Eternal Fire. They are setting up this post plant perfectly.
Yeah, smoke will start to fade away. Morris plays position at CT spawn in Zentaris, goes back in towards the ramp room. We'll find the flank of Shock. That flank from Shock could have provided something, but Zentaris turns around and finds it, and now the two remaining players of Sinners have to fall away. No shot at winning this one. You've got Kevlar, they've got a smoke and a kit. It's better just saving what you've got instead of throwing it all away. Eternal Fire with a nice A play. Because you can't help feel, but that setup really made no sense from Sinners. You know, you have one player playing Underwood alone, and there's no one there with him. Like, there's no quick rotation, really. Usually, if you're going to be playing A like that, and you usually play a retake setup, and the one player from playing A plays from Ticket Hawker, it seemed like just left Oscar out to dry.
Yeah, Oscar clearly was feeling it for that Palace peak. Maybe thought he could get that one kill. And if you get the kill towards Palace, if you think there's only one man there, then you could potentially push into Palace and have a better position. But it is a big risk because, as you pointed out, that pistol alone on A isn't really that likely to hold. For Eternal Fire now, they have won both pistols here on Mirage, here on their map pick. If they lose this map, they won't really have any excuses. They were pretty comprehensively beaten in the gun rounds in that first half. Right now, they need to make sure they don't lose up against this force buy. Eternal Fire couldn't do too much with the Deegs whenever they had them, but Sinners have invested heavily into this one.
Yeah, they have. We'll see if Sinners can pull this off. We've seen them win a lower buy earlier on in the first half that really threw a spanner into the works for Eternal Fire. With the way these players have been playing on the Sinners side, you can't put it against them. Find a couple of shots on the Deegs. So Eternal Fire certainly have to provide some respect to this. They'll be sitting outside of B with the majority of their players. 2, in fact, playing from mid, 3 up in the apartments, waiting for a possible B split to end out this round.
Last bits of utility being used up by Sinners, including a smoke into the B apartments. That could give Eternal Fire something to think about. They are just going to sit behind that smoke for now. The good thing for Eternal Fire is the T still have lots of nades themselves to set up this eventual play.
Neo Frag is going to be under a good bit of pressure, and more pushes forward, and with a jumping shot, hits the headshot with the UMP. And now a position of Shock gets caught over the top of the smoke by Woxic, and that's going to open up the connector and an avenue in towards the A site now for Eternal Fire to take the site. And that bomb is going to go down. They really run the clock down, but they make sure that they limit the casualties. They haven't lost a single player yet.
Actually out-positioning their opponents in this round. Good signs from Eternal Fire here, early on their T side. I'll be hoping for many more rounds like this one. If you look at the numbers for Eternal Fire, though, it generally feels to me like it is their T side they have more issues on. And that actually also strikes true with the stats. They have a 63% win rate on CT side on this map, compared to just 44% on T side. Actually, both of these teams generally do a bit better on the CT side of Mirage. So for Sinners to have such a strong lead like this going into their CT side, I'll be feeling good about that. I'll be feeling great about the start to the half, though. Losing the first couple of rounds. And they're probably in trouble in this one too. Nice chance for Eternal Fire to build that economy early.
Yeah, and the score as well. I mean, 10-8 if they win this round, and that certainly should be the outcome. And when you build the economy, Hawk, even if you lose that follow-up gun round, you're likely to well, you're going to have a very good buy in the next round after that. So it just makes it more difficult for Sinners overall here, for Eternal Fire to build up this economy, build up these rounds. Eternal Fire right back in this game.
Now we'll see if Eternal Fire can keep it up once we hit the gun rounds, because Sinners were looking so solid individually in that first half. Here with the pistols.
Oh, okay.
Not much working out early. Woxic showing us what he can do with that AK.
I mean, if it ends like this, then Eternal Fire into the first gun round are going to have this buy. They're going to have MAC-10s and Galeals in play around the AKs, going for a bit of a bonus. So should be expected for Sinners to win this next round if they don't limit the numbers here. Bomb going down, Eternal Fire. Getting some extra cash in the bank now, just Zedko left alone. That's 8 rounds already for the Eternal Fire side, and we will very likely see this bonus round play out going into the next. So Sinners should be taking 11 rounds after this one, but Eternal Fire, it's just a bonus, right? It's just a chance to try and get some extra cash into the bank, and Deadco is going to catch Xcloud. Unfortunately, it was just a UMP. So that's going to be another AK being picked up in the purchase into the next round from Xcloud. So this bonus just got a little stronger for Eternal Fire going into the next round.
It's just the rifles up now for Eternal Fire, so I was wondering if they wanted to commit too heavily to that final fight, but they know that they can take the long-range duel with confidence. It goes their way. Now Eternal Fire will have a chance to try and keep this streak on the T side going into this gun round. You can see Sinners getting those 2 AWPs out early. That's something that might be slightly unexpected from the Eternal Fire perspective. Getting 2 AWPs out into this first gun round, yeah, it's not something you'll see too often.
Yeah, it's a big risk. Even if Eternal Fire lose this round, but they do a lot of damage to Sinners in terms of the economy, Eternal Fire can buy next round again. Already at this point, they can buy again. That's even without a bomb plant. So Sinners really have to win this round and win it cleanly. They've got to keep numbers up. You can't afford to lose too many players, otherwise their economy could be in absolute tatters at the beginning of the second half.
See Calyx just alone towards ramp, putting some pressure on that position. Here's a player who is very happy to play in those lurk roles or away from the rest of the team at times. I still think there is another gear that we can see from Calyx specifically on this Eternal Fire team. It's been decent on this Eternal Fire squad, but he's a player who is capable of being a star in his own right. I'd love to see if Calyx can step up here on T side. Mid control still being taken by Eternal Fire. Beastic sitting in this window smoke. Slowly but surely the T's setting up what looks like it will end up being an A split.
A-Split certainly on the cards. Let's look at the defense and what they've got in place right here to try and hold it. Oscar playing from CT, Ticket with the AWP, the rifle playing in front of him, the former Shock, but who is very low on health. So he'll be watching for the Palace play, which means Oscar's going to be under a lot of pressure from multiple angles. And Shock, he's got one. Oscar backs him up, but the play from Connector's already started to come through, and Oscar's going to miss the first pick. Smoke up, but he's read the read. He's got the read on Zantaras, but can't hit the shot. Zantaras brings him down. The re-peek from Oscar may be a little ill-advised, as now it puts his team into the 3 versus 2. They're a man down into this, and a double up potentially onto the save call here. They have to be careful because there is a little lurker on the other side. It is going to be Woxic playing in from window. They have to be aware of this. They seem like they're honed in on that potential play. But they can't afford to lose any of these AWPs. They have to carry both into the next round. Otherwise, this is an absolute economic disaster for Sinners.
Seems like they should be okay to save these AWPs at a minimum. But not an ideal round for Sinners. And it is a scenario there where Oscar has that decision to make because they dropped that bomb towards ramp. And so he either can just maybe try and watch towards ramp and see if he can slow things further, maybe even just play it passively and set up for the later round scenario, or he can just go for that one more kill and see if he can get the advantage right away. And that's what he goes for. He tries to take that fight to them, but as soon as he misses that shot, he just couldn't get that follow-up, stuck in towards CT. And now this game is back in contention. Eternal Fire have brought us back to a 10-9 scoreline, and that's a fight that Woxic will take all day long. Easy early frag.
And Oscar now, nice little boost. A lot of teams are doing that boost now down in the underpass. It's just so good to peer in behind that smoke. It's very difficult to spot the CT's head. It's always good for one, but Oscar has made a couple of decisions now in this game, Hawk. He just kind of loses his head a little bit. Go for a few repeats he shouldn't be going for. 2 rounds in a row. Lovely shot from Shock. Now just down into the 2 versus 3. Beastic's Deagle has drawn the numbers back in favor of Sinners as Shock is going to go again. A follow-up kill for him, and now suddenly it's all in and more. He knows there's a player down in Sandwich. He's just heard the feet drop. But he's holding for an aggressive play. He wants a kill to turn it into the 1v2 first. And he's got that opportunity onto Shock, who should not be taking this kill. And Moore's got an easy pick. He knows he's got it locked in, but he's looking for a follow-up instead. He's just waiting as he now jumps over the stairs. Beautiful play here from Amor. Going in for the second, but Zetko will bring him down. Eternal Fire will not win the round as 11 now added to the tally of the Sinners.
You can see what Imor was trying. He was hoping he could just run forward so that he was in an unexpected position by the time he took that free frag, and maybe he was hoping he could catch another CT off guard. But you see exactly why Sinners want to save those two snipers. They come through into the next round with those AWPs. Even though Oscar's only able to get the one kill with it, they have a setup where they make sure they can get that AWP back into the hands of Shock, and he ends up being the difference maker. Just those two AWPs come through for the round win for Sinners. Now Eternal Fire looking for fights, and they're straight out through the Palace.
Lovely opening kills here for Eternal Fire, and Sinners have no money to go for this. They don't think a retake is possible. They're saving into this one. They're going to cancel this attempt, and that is fantastic. Blistering pace out of Eternal Fire onto the A site. And that's kind of similar to what Sinners are running when the default wasn't working in the first half, Holker. They would rush straight in towards these A plays, these set pieces out of spawn. And Eternal Fire have the players to pull this style off. They have so many players that can show up and just hit those entries.
And that's definitely what you would expect Eternal Fire to be relying on at times here on this T side, is that ability for some of those individuals to just get a good read on the situation. Mirage is definitely a map which is open to the individuals and just the aimers coming through and taking fights on good timing windows. That's what we see there. Mirage definitely a map suited to the aimers more than the brainers. That's why we don't play it, Dinko.
Oh yeah, I love Mirage. Favorite map.
Oh really?
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
I'm not a Mirage man, personally.
Mirage is fun. We had a discussion not so long ago, Hawk, about how we actually like the map. What's happened?
Yeah, I do. It's definitely overhated for sure.
Yeah.
I know
think
people
it's
think
pretty
it
good
gets
map.
stale, but yeah, I think a map like Dust 2 was way more stale before the change than a map like Mirage. I think you got loads of options.
I can play Mirage over and over again. Dust 2, I play 10 rounds of, and I want to just quit.
Sure, yeah.
Especially the randoms you get on that map, man. It's like, never queue at 4 a.m., guys. Never queue 4 a.m. Dust 2 games on matchmaking. Bad idea.
Cursed.
That's my mental health
matchmaking.
advice for the day. Also, shouldn't really be up at 4 a.m., so probably go to bed a little bit earlier as well. There we go. I'm a life
Maybe
guru,
they've just come
Holker.
home from working the night shift, you know?
Oh, yeah,
Like
of
different
course.
schedules.
But, yeah, it's relative, isn't it?
Exactly.
Ooh. B-stick. Trying to preempt for the play into the B side, which has already happened. X-Floud has gone past his crosshair. Thought Zeko would have helped him out there, but B-stick does go down. And a little hole in the defense has just been opened wider by X-Floud's headshot onto Shock. Luckily, Neophyte trades it out quickly, but now the numbers are starting to dwindle extremely quickly here for Sinners. It's down to Zeko to make a play here. He should have had a little bit more initial success, but I think from his angle, he just has been a little bit unlucky about the timings of when the players come into his crosshair, but he's making up for it now. 2 kills for Zeko, and it's all on Woxic inside the apartments. Molotov to try and keep him back. Good position as Zeko comes in with a 4K.
What a play from Zeko, winning every single fight. But the fact that he was given those opportunities, Dinko, to take those 1v1s is a bit of a surprise. That's one of those scenarios where Xantares peeking from Van, you can't blame him because his aim is so good. But I would prefer him to either peek a bit sooner when his teammate has just been dealt with so that he can try and quickly trade, or just tuck into that Van position, because he kind of ends up being in that no man's land where he tries to trade his teammate, but he does it too slow. So it ends up being a position where they're just waiting for that peak. Zeko was just begging for him to peek his position. Zeko takes that fight all day long, so Sinner's able to get the 12-10 lead. And that could well be a turning point in this game, Dinko. And if Sinners can go on to win from this position, that'll be a round that Eternal Fire will feel like they probably should have won. They let it slip.
Yeah, that's going to suck for them big time. 12-10. Sinners 4 rounds away from taking their opponent's map pick. Eternal Fire, not a team to give up easily, though. Oscar peers down in towards the underpass. Ooh, he might get a little bit unlucky here with the timing because he might be pinching from top middle. Really has to allow his teammate out short to try and get that pick for him. Oscar's just so patient. Flash is starting to come in, but he's about to get caught by the timing. Oh, he's about to get caught bad! That is Zantaras taking out Oscar. And one of the danger men out of play for Sinners. It's a 1-for-1 though at the beginning of the round.
I love the play from Neofrag though. Zedko's still got mid control, so Neofrag decides to set up aggressively. And that means even though the orb of Oscar has been dealt with, Sinners hold on to mid. And that peak timing was so important there. Woxic had the AWP on the other side, but he pulled a flash as Neofrag went aggressive. And now Sinners are taking a gamble. They're rotating quite a few players over to that B side of the map, but Shock playing passive on A may need some help soon.
Yeah, Woxic's about to flash Zantaras in towards the peak at ramp. Zantaras going to charge forward. Shock gets caught by the flashbang. Gets a little bit forced back, and that allows the power swing of Calyx to bring him down. Zedko and Beastick now into the recovery mission. 8 seconds left. Bomb plant needs to start coming through, and just will in the nick of time. Eternal Fire find all of the picks, and in the end, the bomb plant doesn't even matter. It's 12-11. Eternal Fire now just 1 round away from tying up this scoreline. And that is a beautiful, again, just explosive play towards the end of the round from Eternal Fire.
And I think Sinners weren't too comfortable playing retake on A there because they didn't have much utility. But at the same time, Eternal Fire were also low on nades. So I think playing retake would have been okay there. You can maybe just hang around and see if you can find one early kill. And, well, an early kill is exactly what Woxic will get at the start of this round. Neofrag taken out early. Had a couple of these rounds where Sinners just try and take some ambitious fights with the pistols. Up against the AWP at that range, Woxic's always going to be favored. With the mid control, Eternal Fire happy to relax right now. Definitely would like to see a bit more from Oscar as this game goes on, Dinko. Pointed it out earlier. I think the positioning at times has just been a bit off from Oscar.
Yeah.
There have been some rounds where he's been caught out.
Couple of decision-making moments as well. Maybe, you know, with the positions he's playing, maybe just needs a little bit more rifle support, because we do see a lot of hoppers take those risk plays down towards underpass, but generally the successful teams that pull that off have some rifle support beside them with a protocol to get them out of there, where I've seen Oscar, when he realized he was being pushed from top mid and under at the same time, he kind of panicked a little bit. There wasn't enough faith really in his short player to hold that off.
I feel like he could have just gone back to focus on top mid at that point, honestly.
Yeah.
Because the underpass player, you know, is pretty far away. This is a good position for Oscar, though. Pushed into ramp.
Yeah, he doesn't know where they are, though. That's the problem. And now he's going to try and take them down one by one. He's found Zantaras. He knows the bomb planter can't have gone far. He's still worried about the potential flank, but it's the connector and short play that's going to start bringing these numbers down, and Oscar really needs to do everything here, and that's too much to ask of him. 12-12 as Eternal Fire will bring the scoreline all the way back, as Sinners now starting to flounder. Good first half from them, but they've only won 2 rounds in the second half. Definitely a better showing here from Eternal Fire.
And they are really stepping up. Got to give a lot of credit to the Turkish team. X-File still top of the board, but now Woxic has joined him. I think it has been some of those other players stepping up alongside X-File, who was playing pretty well in that first half. And Woxic's been getting quite a few picks with this AWP too. This time, though, Oscar established on the angle. I thought for a second Woxic was going to try and take the fight back, but waits for the flash wisely, and Oscar has to be careful. That's a great shot, though. Able to be traded out by Woxic.
Yeah, good at least spacing there from Eternal Fire to 1-for-1 that. It's a big kill to find as well. Oscar just getting down with 1 pick on ramp. Yeah, it's a good pick, but it's not good enough, really. You've got to hope that there's a secondary up at the B so I can get something done, and Morris slipped beside him. Oh, it's gone. That AWP is out of the round already, and Morris is waiting for the time to strike, getting in a better position as the AWP apartments is about to fall. Zedko is executed in public in 3. Never mind, he ruined it. 4! 2-1! There we go. Perfect time, Hulk. Calculated. As now the B play from Eternal Fire certainly looking to be calculated as well. Neofrag trying his best to let them cross and take the pick, but it's Woxic that's caught that AWP. And this is such an easy round from Eternal Fire. They're just so cool and collected. Every player staying in the same spot, just knowing what their job is in the round. And Sinners being eliminated. 13-12 is now the score.
Eternal Fire about to take the lead. And if you watch much of this team, you know that Emor is definitely someone who is happy to make those aggressive plays at times. This is a scenario where that aggression pays off, just gets into a good position. Beastic sticking around here, just seeing if Eternal Fire maybe have left the bomb too soon, but that time is too far gone at this point. It's just about the exit kills from Sinners, which they will find. Every single kill goes the way of Sinners, but the round goes the way of Eternal Fire. And now for the Sinners side, well, at least with 2 save guns, you can probably scrape together a buy. But we need to see some rounds here for Sinners. This has been a lead which has slipped away real quick. Oh, and Eternal Fire actually choose to take a Mac 10 into this round instead of dropping X-Floud. So maybe we're going to see a quick play in this one. Definitely expecting X-Floud to lead the charge with the Mac. You already see on the minimap, he is currently the man at the front of the pack towards the B apartments.
Would look a little silly. Send the AKs in first and the Mac 10 to clutch Orca. Here goes X-Floud, charging through. He's going to be that first player out the window. He's diving through, trying to create that space and offset the crosshairs to allow the rifles to be more potent in reply. And it has worked out so far for the defense. They found most of the kills here, and this is going to keep Eternal Fire on their toes. They've got to create that space back, but they haven't been able to find a way onto the site. Grid counter utility, and now rotations in from Sinners. This is looking good for the Czech side as the bomb is even dropped up towards the van. Eternal Fire have a recovery mission on their hands and they're not finding their way forward. Walksick now has to clutch it all. And he's found 1 headshot. Needs 2 more to collect this clutch. And he's going to get caught by the op of Oscar. 13-13, scoreline tied up as Sinners with a really good job at just staying alive in that B site.
A solid hold from Sinners. I wonder whether Eternal Fire were 100% ready for the full buy to be coming in from Sinners in that round. Either way, they go for a slight switch up with a faster paced play. And now we are in a scenario where Eternal Fire actually have pressure on them. Both teams do. Neither side having much money in the bank. You can see the loss bonus at the top of your screen, not high for either side. And so Eternal Fire looking for the round on the fast A play. Zedko still in position. Good kill from him, and Shock could be here to help.
Shock's going to hold back, gets caught. Calix and Zentares bring them down, and now Bistic and Oscar have the recovery mission to put 14 on the board for Sinners. But Eternal Fire have every advantage possible. They have the site control. They can put the bomb down eventually here, but the man advantage that is going to cost Sinners most likely here. Bistic only has an MP9. You've seen him trying to get a little closer. He wanted to push himself up towards triple so that MP9 can become a little bit more potent. But at this range, you don't really favor it against any of the better weapons in play. Beast has got to hope he can catch the timing, and he nearly does. Take down Zentares, but it's all on Oscar, and he gets caught. The SG of all weapons bringing forward a 3K and 14 rounds presented to the Eternal Fire.
And we were saying that Calix wasn't having too much impact throughout this game, but in the most important round of the map so far, Calix steps up with that triple kill, closing it out with the final 2 frags on that SG. And the winner of that round was always going to increase their odds of winning the map tremendously, because now Sinners do have to go down to Deegs. That was the most important round of this map so far. Eternal Fire step up and again just play with that freedom to go for the fast A play. This T side has been really solid for Eternal Fire. They are playing with that willingness to go for these aggressive plays. It's great to see coming out from this Eternal Fire team. And now their map pick looking good for them. Another one in pole position right now to win this map. But we all know that sometimes, Dinko, pole position doesn't necessarily mean you win the map.
No.
If you've watched F1, you know. Exactly.
Well, it all comes down to this weekend, Hawka. We'll see which one's going to come out on top, whether it be Eternal Fire or Sinners trying to get their spot at ESL Anaheim. Obviously the biggest sporting event happening this weekend.
I was going to try and use an analogy, but I don't know who would be who in the analogy compared to F1 and this game, so
Well,
We'll just stick with the Counter-Strike, I think.
yeah, there's no like real clear favorite that's won everything, so it's all good. They're both winners in my eyes, okay, but it's a good start here for Eternal Fire. So ESL is obviously the biggest three-letter acronym event happening this weekend. Screw the UFC. It's all about ESL Anaheim. And here goes Shock. He's in a good position. Gets caught by Calix swinging around the side. AK-47 there as well. And Zetko now in a 1 versus 5. Nothing he can do with an Eagle here. And it is 15 rounds for Eternal Fire.
Sinners will have to play for overtime. And Eternal Fire have done such an impressive job here at coming back on their T side. Got to give them a lot of credit for sticking with it here on their map pick. Especially considering the form we saw from Sinners at the start of this map. We saw some of the players we weren't expecting to step up for Sinners play really well. Once we saw, Shock and B-Stick leading the charge, you get slightly scared for a second that Sinners are just having a game where they're just individuals are on point. That can be really hard to deal with at times, but Eternal Fire have weathered the storm. And Sinners now have to try and play for overtime. Oscar's got that AWP out. M4's on the other players. Zedco should be buying up any second. They've bought what they can, but it's the last standby for Sinners.
The last dance, Holka. Let's see if it's going to work out. Sinners coming into play with the AWP of Oscar. Has been pretty quiet throughout this game. Hasn't really been able to find that multi-kill potential, but look at the B side. It's open because of the short, aggressive play from Zedco and B-Stick. If Imor can spot this info, which he should now, call to his B Apartments players that want to speed up this attack. They're starting to come into play. Imor's hunting them down from short. This is a huge chance now for Eternal Fire to crack open this B defense. But the CTs have found the kills, and Oscar's got back into position. He's missed that shot in the apartment play, and the rifle down below the window should be causing problems, but Calix is overrun it. Shock's got back in to try and help out Oscar, and that bomb has not crossed to the site yet. Satara is able to glean the head, but it's all on Oscar now. 1 versus 2 needed for the talisman of the team, and he's found one and a second as well. Oscar with a no-scope. It's a headshot that keeps 14 rounds on the board for Sinners, and their chances are Mirage alive.
Oh, Oscar has been quiet all map long, and then when Sinners need him the most, of course he comes through with the play. It's not easy to play with that AWP around that B site, with all those nades up, with that smoke making life awkward for him. But he spots Xantares over the top, and then confident that the no-scope will deliver. But despite that round win, Sinners actually still have a couple of weak weapons, and they've lost Oscar at the start of this round.
Yeah, the big man out of play. Shock tries to step up and take the mantle for 2, but he's just unable to get the second kill off. Neofrag's AWP, you often can see Neofrag and Oscar rocking those double up setups. Is it Neofrag's turn to step up with a massive play here to keep his team in it yet again? He's got 2 teammates to help him out. Zedco and B-Stick still in play. B-Stick's gone quiet in the second half. What a round this would be to reignite the fire. Eternal Fire sit back in the post plant. All playing from Sandwich and Tetris. This is going to be difficult to clear this player out. We've got one now inside the ramp as well with X-Flower, but the bomb's not planted for any of them. The bomb is a default. If they can get across to it, that would put pressure onto the T's, but they're not crumbling just yet. But now they're onto the bomb. It's on the rifle of Centaurus to try and get in position. Defuse coming through, but it will not be connected. 16-14, Eternal Fire will take Mirage. What a first game of Counter-Strike here, Hawk. It looked one-sided in that first half, but Eternal Fire able to pull through in their map pick. And wow, the Sinners giving us a great showing on their opponent's map pick.
Yeah, still an inspired comeback though